Well, good morning. It's great to see you, and welcome back to the shop, where today we're going to be doing a little work on this pellet pistol. Yes, this is just a pellet pistol. It is a reproduction of the Sig Sauer M17 or the civilian model P320, and I've had a little issue with it. And it's been a minute since I've used this, actually probably a couple of years. I did pick this up, during the COVID era when I was stuck at home. I like to do some target shooting. I don't shoot at live animals or live things at all, but I do enjoy, the discipline and the challenge of shooting at a target. And so I picked this up, and I enjoyed it. It's got several features which I'm not going to really get into in this video. We'll probably do another video on this a little bit later, but the issue today is that I stopped using it because it is a CO2 powered pellet pistol and it's leaking. And so I've decided to finally get it out and investigate this a little bit more, see if there's something I can't do to fix it. I did notice that you can replace this CO2 cartridge holder for about $25 or so, up to upwards of $50 for one of these, but for about $25. And there's also an O-ring kit, and I'm guessing that that's probably what's wrong with that. Somewhere in here are some O-rings that have maybe cracked or come loose, and you can pick one of those up for about $15. I put links in the description for both of those in this video, but today we're going to dig into this a little bit. Since I do have another magazine on order, there really is no downside to taking this apart. If I can't get it back together again, I'll just have another one coming in the mail or via FedEx in the next day or so. So I'm going to take this apart, see if we can't get it working again. First of all, let's take a look and see what it's doing. So the way this works is, first of all, we don't need this. This is for the pellets or the BBs that go in there. We don't need that. But you take a CO2 cartridge. You see that hasn't been used yet. That hasn't been punctured. And you just simply put it in here. You open up this little mechanism here. You pop this in, and then you close it, and you'll be able to see right away what I'm talking about. So I close it. It basically cams this up and breaks the seal, and everything's fine, right? But you hear that? You hear that? It's leaking a little bit, and it gets worse if I put this in. You hear that? And now, when I put the magazine in there, you can really hear it. So I suspect the problem is up in here somewhere, and you can see that we can take these couple of pins out and maybe take this out, probably a couple of O-rings in there, at least a couple of O-rings, and maybe one of them is cracked or dried out and needs to be replaced. So we're going to get into that. So let's take this apart and get going. Pull this apart here real quick. There's always going to be some in there. Take that out. And now we can work at getting these out. So these two pins can be driven out this way. This is just an empty. Oh man, that's tight. All right. This is just an empty tin. I'm going to use it to hold pieces parts because there's lots of little pieces parts in here, I think. See if I can't lever that out. Yeah, there we go. These pieces come apart. You got to be careful that you don't lose them. There's a spring there that's separate from this little piece here. We're just going to try to keep all this together in here. And I believe there's a little washer. There you go. There. So inside here are a couple of O-rings. There's one there, and I think there's one farther down as well from the schematic that I looked at. There might be one down there. I don't know. Maybe there's not. No, I think there's just that one. Maybe the other one's missing. I don't know. Take a look at this. See if it's... Oh yeah, see that? I don't know if you can see that or not. If you can see that or not. But right there is a crack. See that? See if I can't zoom in on that for you. But that is probably causing our leak. There's a better look at it right there. Right there. So we need an O-ring, and there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. Like I said, there's an O-ring kit that Sig Sauer sells for the whole thing. I don't think I need that. I think I can go up to my hardware store and, in one of their little bins, they've got a bunch of O-rings, and I probably can find one that is just exactly like that for, typically for faucets or fittings or things like that. But over here I have my little O-ring stash, and that's the first place I'm going to look. Brought that out in anticipation that we might need something like that. So let's see what we have here. It might be a close match, if not an exact match. Let's see. Nothing there. What do we have here? What is this? Yeah, that looks like it's pretty darn close. That's a little fat. That's a little small. We got a couple here that probably would fit. This one looks like it's a little thick, but probably would work in a pinch. But I'm going to try that one and see if it won't work. So let's do that. Like this. There we go. Heard a little snap. I think that O-ring was going into place. I think that's in there together now. I think that'll do it. So I'm going to try to put this back in. Let's see. I think it went. We don't need this. I can take this out. I don't know that it makes any difference whether I go this way or this way. So I'll put that in. This inside here like this for right now. Just use this as a all right, let's see how we did here. Well, it seems to be holding. I don't hear any leaks. Let's seat this and see if it does it when we put it in the pistol. That seems to be fine. Okay. All right. All seems to be working as it should. So I think we've got that done. I'm going to show you a couple other things that I've done, or at least one other thing that I've done to this while I've got it kind of apart and out. And that is, when I first got it, I wasn't real happy with the accuracy. And I noticed that this was a little loose here. And I took the piece out that I made and put it in here because I want to show you what I did. But you can see when you pull the trigger before the action goes off, before it hits that click, you can see right here, actually you can see some daylight in there. And then the top slide will move. See how it's moving there? See how it's moving right there? And you can see daylight and then no daylight. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but over the course of 10, 15, 20, 30 yards, which is about the max distance for this, but typically I shoot it around 10 yards. That little bit, that's going to move things around a little bit, and it's going to keep the accuracy from being what it needs to be. So I saw somebody else on YouTube put a piece together, and this is the piece right here. Now, I made this out of just some flat metal and I drilled a piece out, and then I got a file, and I just filed the piece out. It's just a basic piece. But I saw somebody else make this. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's take this apart here. And it fits right in here. I'll see if I can't get it back in there. You can see that in there. There, probably a better way of looking at it, upside down, so the light gets in there. So, see that? That's gonna help the barrel ride on that and keep this piece from moving up and down. Now, I want to be clear, the barrel is not moving. The barrel is fixed. It is nice and tight, and it's not moving around. But it's the slide that is moving, or was moving a little bit here. Let's see if I can't get you a better look at that right now. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is the piece that we put in. And that is going to help this piece from rocking up and down, which affects the sights. As you're looking down the sights here, and you press that trigger, and this front piece dips down, dips down, dips down. It's going to, over the course of 10 yards or so, you're going to be off 6-8 inches from your target, and you've got enough other things to worry about rather than having to worry about that. So this is going to help keep that from moving. And I'll show you what I mean. Now that that's in place again, I don't know if you can see that there. Now that that's in place and it's not moving around, we'll put this back in. Okay. And now watch when we do that. That slide, now you can see that that slide is not moving at all when we start depressing that trigger. So that's helped a lot. Anyhow, enough chit chat. Let's take this outside, put it through its paces, and see how it operates. That's not too bad. Boy, I forgot how fun that can be, especially with that realistic blowback action on the slide. What a blast. And, it's not a bad replica either. I mean, here's the pellet pistol next to the real thing. Try to tell me the difference. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think I'll pick this one. Oh, that's the real one. Well, there you have it, friends. Listen, if you enjoyed watching this and would like to see more content like this and other do-it-yourself projects, leave us a like, give us a comment, and we would really love it if you would take a second to subscribe. That would really help the channel. We always appreciate the time that you've chosen to spend with us, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next one.